miss this session can review what you presented.
Sure, absolutely. Please go ahead, yeah?
Yeah, just with your
I am
permission.
also
Yeah, thank you.
most welcome. And I'm also very happy if you would like to have another sessions face to face or anything like that. I'm more than happy to support Corum in that perspective, all right? So, okay, without further ado, I think we are like almost 15 minutes late, so I'm just going to speed up a little bit, yeah? Here first and foremost, my name is Dylan, and I'm actually this is first and foremost a non-medical disclaimer that I am not medical doctors or physicians, nurse or physician assistant, yeah. And so that's why it's very important to inform you if you have further questions, you will have to consult your attending physicians, right? And it is not intended to substitute any professional medical device for these sessions, diagnosis, and also treatments. So if you all right with that, we shall continue with that, right? Otherwise, probably that you may not want to proceed with this session. And I don't want to give you a wrong impression that this should actually, something medical and it should be like a diagnosis or a sessions that is for the treatment perspective. All right. So I have been actually practicing as a registered and licensed counselor and also sleep technologies as a sleep technology for more than 10 years actually. In fact, 13 years if I remember that correctly, right? So before we start, right, I just want to get some idea, typically how do you sleep? How well do you sleep? If you're using actually phones or laptop, right, feel free to type in the chat group, I just want to see if I can have any response. Let me just look into my chat as well. Okay. And while you are probably typing, let me know what sort of the sleep difficulty you are having. All right. Because sleep is very broad topic. It can be very broad to the extent that are you having difficulty, for example, to initiate your sleep? Or probably you are having difficulty to maintain your sleep, or maybe you wake up too early, So different situation may cause different um, issue with the people, right? And some of the patient, of course, they can't initiate the sleep. And that is a different situation that we will help them, okay? For some people, for example, they might have a problem with in maintaining the sleep, yeah? Meaning to say that in the middle of night, they wake up very frequently. And that is another area as well. So that's why that first and foremost, let us do a bit of the simple evaluations. What is the sleep all about? Okay. So you can let me know. And some people, they're having some problem in sleep. And I would just proceed while you are still typing. Yeah, no worry. So one of the most important is that, this one of the studies that from the Japan, yeah, they noticed that the average sleep durations for the age of 10 and above in Japan, yeah, it has been reducing over the years. So in the years of the 1960, you can see that we have roughly quite a good 6 7 hours, right? And gradually it reduces like in averagely 5 6 hours in Japan. Okay, is this a good sign? Maybe yes, maybe no. All right, of course it's no. So first question is that what is sleep actually? The purpose of sleep. The sleep is not only for you to rest. It is basically one of the most important biological requirement for human life. Besides the food, water, and eating, you need to sleep. In fact, we spend 1/3 of our life to sleep in average. Yeah. It is the basic human needs like eating and drinking. It is very important for our overall health and the well-being. Okay. Now, lack of sleep, what happened? Or poor quality of sleep. So sometimes this is something very important that I would like to explain a bit. Some people will tell me that I don't have sleep problem. So the question that I always ask is that quantity of the durations are you happy with, or you are having difficulty in, or the quality of sleep? This is the two different area or in accessing our sleep, right? First and foremost, you might already know by now we should have around 7 to 8 hours of sleep. But if you are getting 7, 8 hours of duration of sleep, but the sleep quality, it can be bad as well sometimes to some people. All right. And this will have a negative impact on our health. The next day, maybe it will impact like your attention span, your memory, your recalling, uh, and sometimes the learning can be more difficulty in like student, for example. So that's why that people with lack of sleep, if you're going to ask them to maybe read the newspaper, watching a television, they might be falling asleep. All right. So longer terms effects or the side effect is basically we can look into multiple sleep health kind of a problem, which include that obesity, diabetes, and weakened immune system. All right. And some of course cancers, which is we are going to talk a bit later on as well. So what are the reasons for us to get well or to get more to sleep? Okay, so if you have a good quality of sleep, or if you have a good recommended sleep duration in both quality and quantity, yeah, it should be able to help you with a better brain attentions, memory, or in other word, the word is cognitive health lah, your mood perspective, less irritable, less angry, all right? Cardiovascular disease, kind of a health as well. It can be also improved, and all those athletic achievements for some of the people who is look into the area, right? And so on and so forth. Okay. Now, there is actually three elements that I always will just a layman for easy for you to understand, yeah, is actually this duration, continuity, the depth of the sleep, right? In other words, this is the quality of sleep. So the duration of your sleep, it can be different from age to age, depending how old are you, which I will share with you very shortly. The second is actually yet you need to know is also our sleep should be continuous, shouldn't be fragmented. What does it mean by that? So imagine that you're waking up in the middle of the night too frequent. Then it will disrupt the sleep cycle, which I will talk about that later. Right? And how deep is the sleep is also the related to the sleep stages, which I will share with you. We need to have certain period of time before we enter into the deep sleep and the REM sleep. All right. So some of you have also entered over here already. I think that we have people were saying in the chat box, I sleep about 5 to 6 hours a day with normally 1 hour deep sleep. I'm not sure how do you know about the deep sleep. Perhaps we can talk about that later. Okay. If you're referring to the watch, if you're using a sleep tracker, it is an estimations or it is actually a gadgets for consumer purpose for you to look into your wellness in sleep. Medically, the sleep tracker, like the watch that you're wearing, it's still not accepted as a medical device to diagnose the deep sleep. Yeah, I will talk about that later on as well. It is good that you can look to use that, but do not too worry about the watch actually. It's just an estimation, right? Now, some people of you having the interrupted sleep, waking up every 2 to 3 hours. Okay, so the word 2 to 3 hours, I might know what happened. So it is one of the sometimes the more REM sleep you might wake up during that phase. Some of you were writing in the chat box that someday difficult to continue to sleep after wake up, go to toilet. took me more than 1 hour to fall asleep again. All right. So there are some, of course, behavioral related, like the washroom break will causes the interruptions of sleep later on. Yeah. I'll just continue slightly later on and while to address the question that you have in the chat box. Please continue to write in again. I will look into that also. So typically, if a healthy, normal sleep durations, according to the National Sleep Foundation, is recommended for an adult is about 7 to 8 hours. Yeah? 9 hours is fine, but normally 7 to 8 is good enough. As you are getting aging, right, you will notice that sometimes we have 6, 7 hours. It's also acceptable. Okay, so younger people, they will typically sleep longer. I'm sure all of you agree with me, right? A baby infants, for example, they sleep more than 10 hours, right? School adolescents, if you are having maybe grandchildren or children, these are the duration of sleep important for them to have a good cognitive health development or the brain development and still continuing going on during this phase of life. Now, the sleep cycle, which I have spoken just now, is typically this REM sleep, non-REM sleep, stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. What is this all about? It can be very confusing for some of the people who might have not heard about this term before. Now, I will just move forward a little bit, right? Stage 1 and stage 2 is typically we call the light sleep, right? The light sleep is actually very important. You fall asleep, your heart rate start to slow down, the body temperature start to drop, and it stabilizes you, right? So typically, right, a lot of things happening during this stage 2 actually, but I will not talk in details about for this today. It takes 50% of your time in sleep for this stage 2 actually. For example, if you're sleeping 8 hours, stage 2 it accounted about roughly 4 hours in total over here. All right. So this here stage 2, it should be around half of it. Okay. Now stage 3 or 4, or sometimes now we have reclassified it, we call the deep sleep. Okay. During this deep sleep, one of the very most important we call the your physical health. Yeah, your body, tissue, muscle is repaired during this stage. So for example, if you are someone who going for a jogging exercise, you're doing a lot of gym, for example, all right? Or probably that you are having post-surgery, or you have an open wounded cut, right? So this is where that during this stage 3, we repair this muscle, okay? And having enough deep sleep. This is a stage we call deep sleep, all right? It helps us to repair the physical tissue, muscle health. While the REM sleep is actually typically called rapid eye movement sleep or the dream stage. I usually use the word like sleep dream stage, right? In which that your brain, mental health, cognitions will start to repair during this stage. I'm talking to you right now. You are learning a new facts today, perhaps. As you are trying to remember, tonight when you sleep, during this REM sleep, your brain will help you to remember better tomorrow. For a person who lack of REM sleep, you might find that maybe it's difficult for you to have memory of certain day, or probably that I would use the word like very poor memory like in general. Okay, so I hope that this is something that is easier for you to understand. Okay, and I just have two questions here before I proceed. I have a patient in early 30s who sleep at 8 to 9 hours yet feeling tired all the day. What are the concerns here? So it could be, this is very good question, example. in a way that you can see the duration is good, but actually they're feeling tired, right? It's very, when the person feeling tired all the time, it's multifactorial. It may be due to the sleep, maybe not due to the sleep, right? Anyway, one of the typical time is that we shouldn't sleep more than actually recommended hours, to be honest with you. Actually, this is something that we always look into that as well. But having a long or good 7 to 8 hours, the patient probably just maybe we need to look into a bit of assessment, right? May not have a good quality of sleep. Now, I will just give you an example here. As you go to bed, right? Typically, you will start with the stage one, light sleep, you go to the stage two, and of course, you go, slowly you go to the deep sleep, right? You notice that the deep sleep is quite long, right? In the first phase, to repair our physical bodily health, right? Physical health. And then probably then later, I go to the REM 2, non-REM 2, and REM stage, which is the dream stage. So this is the typical cycle for a normal, healthy adult. And you will probably notice also the deep sleep, it's actually much more longer the duration in the first phase of the cycle. All right. So one cycle typically 90 minutes or 1.5 hours in general. Okay. Now a person will spend more of their deep sleep. In other words, we repair our physical body first and gradually reduce. Okay. The second half of our sleep, you notice that the REM sleep, it will gradually increase over here, isn't it? And this is the reason, just maybe for one of the participants who mentioned that if a person having a lot of interrupted sleep, let's say, fragmented sleep, it may be causing them to have a good REM sleep. I will not be able to tell you, pinpoint the real reason right now until we do a proper test. Okay. So another person who actually asked is that, does snoring actually indicate the person is entering into the deep sleep? These persons start to snore about 20 minutes of going to sleep, but her sleep is interrupted by going to ease herself every 2 hours. So this is one of the most common sleep disorder that we are seeing in the clinic, sometimes or in the hospital, which I'll talk about that later. Is called obstructive sleep apnea. All right. So without further ado, I just want to jump into the tell you a little bit more in depth about the sleep, right? It can be a bit confusing for some of the people who might have not heard this before, but just keep it simple for you is that when you are awake right now, right? So right now when you are awake, right, your the light actually going into your eyes, isn't it? And this is where that the part of the brain will tell us that you are actually in the daytime. This is the process that for the layman terms, I'll use the word biological clock lah. Yeah, your inner biological clock, right? To keep you knowing today, right now is the daytime. I should stay awake when the night comes, all right, you start to close your eyes, or the surrounding of your environment is getting darker, and this is where that your body start to prepare yourself to sleep. And as you close your eye, um, in the hypothalamus, right, or SCN nucleus here, basically it will start to also tell ourselves that it is time to sleep, and the hormone like melatonin is start to secrete to help you to sleep. Okay, you might have heard about this melatonin. But today, most of the important thing is also that I'm talking about just now the adenosines. This is something that I try to make it simple for all of us here. Our sleep is regulated by two things. Something is called the hormone adenosine. This is the one to regulate the sleep drive, right? Or sometimes I use the word like some forces that make you feel sleepy and more tired. All right. This is the good friend of us. And our circadian rhythm, the wake and sleep drive, basically is your biological clock. These two work together to make sure we sleep at the right time and wake up at the right time as well. Okay. So going back a little bit, it is very important for us to look into the area of the sleep, the duration, the continuity, all right? And also, most importantly, how deep is the sleep? Now, I would like to look into a bit more deeper right now, especially for the topics like the sleep and cancer. But before we go in that, right, let me just stop for a while. I have a short video to play for all of us to look into this again. Okay, just hang on. And I hope you can hear that.
Every night, almost everyone on the planet enters into a state of unconsciousness and paralysis. But what is really happening inside the body when we drift off? And what's the impact if we don't get enough sleep? Sleep is regulated by your circadian rhythm, or body clock, located in the brain. The body clock responds to light cues, ramping up production of the hormone melatonin at night and switching it off when it senses light. There are 4 stages of sleep that the body experiences and cycles throughout the night. On a good night, we cycle through these stages 4 or 5 times. Stages 1 and 2 are light sleep. This is a transition from being awake to falling asleep. Heart rate and breathing begin to slow, body temperature falls, and muscles may twitch. Stage 3 is sometimes referred to as delta sleep because of the slow delta brainwaves that are released during this stage. This is the first stage of deep sleep, where our cells produce the most growth hormone to service bones and muscles, allowing the body to repair itself. Stage 4 is where we begin to dream. The body creates chemicals that render it temporarily paralyzed, so that we do not act out our dreams. In this stage, the brain is extremely active, and our eyes, although closed, dart back and forth as if we were awake. Humans roughly spend 1/3 of their lives asleep. Modern lifestyles, stress, and the proliferation of technology mean that people are sleeping far less today than they were a century ago. Sleeping less than 7 hours per day is associated with an increased risk of developing chronic conditions, which could reduce life expectancy. So for a healthier, longer life, get some shut-eye.
I hope this is a good summarized video of what I've just spoken. Now, I think that should be able to help you to understand or recall back some of the facts that I mentioned earlier. Now, what happened during sleep is actually, right, is also very important for brain perspective, in which that it get rid of the toxic waste, the nerve, cell communicate and reorganize, and to support, of course, the brain functions, to repair the cell energy and release the molecule like the growth hormone and protein. Okay. Now, what are the happen in the cancer of the sleep in cancer related for the today's topic? As you have already aware about the typical normal sleep health, which I have covered in the first part of the session, basically that you notice that certain sleep disorder, right, may also increase the risk, like colorectal cancer, for example, for more than 50%, according to one of the studies. What something that is called sleep apnea, insomnia, and other sleep disorder. All right. So the immune system basically is one of the, important role in detecting and destroying the cancer cell. But when we're having this poor sleep, this is the one that is having problem. It compromises our immune system. So lack of sleep basically immune our immunosurveillance, or in other words, it lower the effectiveness of the natural killer cell. And the balance between cytokines and also our immune system regulation also affected. Now, the impairment basically reduces the body capacity to defend against or fight the cancer, and therefore the relationship between the sleep disturbances and the cancer risk, actually also depends on different type of cancer. All right. Now, estimated roughly 130 men and women is diagnosed with the colorectal cancer in 2014. This is the data created. This is not in Malaysia, but it's from in the western side. Okay. Second most common cancer affecting both sexes after the lung cancer. Inadequate of sleep leads to development of the colorectal cancer, according to one of the journal published in the clinical journals of cancer. And the researcher have studied the sleep quality of thousands of people who have done the colonoscopy. 300 of them were actually diagnosed with colorectal cancer. And those diagnosed are more likely to average of the 6 hours of sleep per night. In other words, they sleep less than the recommendations. Okay. So now the researchers actually have concluded that 50% of the increased risk of colorectal cancer for people sleep less than 6 hours per night. But this is something that shouldn't be worried right now. We try our best to get quality of sleep, because sleep is so multifactorial, and I will be sharing with you there are actually hundreds of the different types of sleep disorder, right? Now, there's one study I just want to share with you. Not going through in details. Some of you might be interested, some is not, which is okay. This is one of the study that they have done with the rats or mouse, in which that is proven actually the sleep deprivation promote the colon cancer progression through the gut's microbiota metabolite kinase A, KYNA. I think you have heard this very commonly right by now, right? So this is actually a study that is done. In other words, that you can see the sleep deprivation basically increase the quininic acid, which is to activate the pathway later on, right, in colon cancer cell. Therefore, it kind of like promotes the tumor progression. Okay. So what happened is actually, right, as I mentioned just now, lack of sleep, immune actually is compromised as well. Yeah, as simple as that. So if I'm going to summarize the whole things, right, without going through too much details, sleep deprivation increase the quininic acid, which then triggered your molecular pathway in the colon cancer. Okay, mainly the HIF 1 alpha stabilization, and also it altered the lipid cell cycle regulation, lead to the tumor progression. Okay. Now, some of you just now have mentioned snoring and lack of sleep duration more than 8 to 9 hours. So typically, if you just Google it, how many types of sleep disorder? There's really a lot. Okay. A person who snore, actually, they are having this condition we call sleep obstructive sleep apnea. All right. So what is this all about? Sleep apnea is the situation where the person actually having the episode or observe episode of snoring, but later on, their breathing can be disrupted as well. In other words, you will notice these patients or these friends of yours, he or she will snore and snoring. After 2 or 3 cycles, it stops snoring. Maybe up to 10, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And you notice that, okay, stop snoring. But then it suddenly gasping for air, right? It's like wakes up. So this is where that during the episode of silence, right? He or she having this moment of apnea. So apnea is the word that we use referring to no breathing or totally absent of the breathing at all right, during the sleep because of there is an obstruction in the airway. So normally, how do we look into this? I will share with you later on about sleep apnea, the diagnosis perspective. For your friends, I will highly suggest you to go to the to see a physician to do a sleep test actually. Now, narcolepsy is also a person who suddenly lose the control of the muscle and they fall asleep, excessive daytime sleepiness, and they might have episode of sleep paralysis as well, in a way that a lot of people or the older generation sometimes, when I was a younger, right? My mom said like, oh, something like a devil sitting on top of my chest, something like that. We call that sleep paralysis actually scientifically. Okay. So insomnia is something very common. A diagnosis of insomnia is typically you should have like more than 3 nights, 3 weeks, and 3 months of consecutive of difficulty to initiate your sleeping. Okay. And circadian rhythm, sleep disorder, restless leg syndrome, frequent legs muscle, legs like shaking, yeah, causing them, of course, couldn't sleep. We have many types of sleep disorder. Of course, like you might have heard the word like nocturnal bruxism is grinding of the teeth, and sleepwalking, bedwetting, nightmare, night terror, so on and so forth as well. Okay, so nightmare and night terror, it sounds the same, but it's a different kind of the sleep stages it happen. Okay, now how do we diagnose a patient? So today's actually I will not be able to tell you what happened to your friends, to yourself, to anyone. And it's very important that I would encourage you to, if you feel like having any difficulty in sleep, proceed to go and any doctors, especially sleep specialists, and they will be like sending you to the laboratory to do this test, something like that. It depends on your condition. Sometimes you don't have to go through the full version. All right. In some more cases, severe cases, or I would say that in more full screening, this is the best study of the full laboratory study, where the sleep technician, when they will sleep, they will be at the next door to look into your sleep, brain wave, your oxygens, heart, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can go to any hospital; they should have offer this service. All right. Now I have one question. When someone had a dream, is this mean that the person is having a deep sleep mode? Actually, when the person having a dream, it is referring to the REM sleep, right? Not the deep sleep, or the deep sleep is stage 3. So that's why normally if you're using the sleep tracker, using a watch, right, there's always misconception, all right? So the deep sleep is not your dreaming stage, but your dream stage is actually in the REM sleep is another one. Normally, I ask this question to patient, very simple. Do you remember your dream? If you remember your dream, that's very good sign. Congratulations. But for those of us who don't remember very much about our dream for the past last week, 1 month, or 3 months, or probably too long that I can remember. So this can be indicating that you have a poor REM sleep. Yeah, maybe that's a good screening. Normally I will ask the question. Okay, I hope that answered the question. Yeah. So now, a good quality and restorative sleep is very important for our day-to-day functioning. And many studies also have suggested that the sleep quality is very important rather than quantity, which have even higher impact on the quality of life and our daytime functioning. Now, I just want to be precise here. It doesn't mean that the quantity of sleep is not important. It is equally important, but the sleep quality comes first, followed by the quantity. Right? If you can have, like, let's say 6 hours of sleep, but you have a very good sleep cycle, then you will notice that you function so much better compared to a person with 7-8 hours that having a fragmented sleep. Right? That's what that's I'm referring to. And of course, the poor sleep has greater negative impact on our health. All right. So the quality of sleep is responsible for our alertness and functioning and our quality of life by including our sleep, our health as well. So both physical and mental impairment caused by one night of bad sleep dwarf those caused by an equivalent absence of food or exercise. This is one of the great books that I have loved the most. And especially that those of you want to look into this more, you can also read about this book. Okay. Now, of course, it doesn't make sense if I don't give you a little bit of the quick, simple tips for today. All right. So important that you should be aiming is regularity. Regularity is really a key. Regular bedtime. Avoid night napping in the afternoon if possible. If you struggle to sleep at night, yeah, especially. So it sounds funny. And every single time I mention this, people would say, can you repeat that again? Are you sure what you're talking about? Yes, I am very sure. So avoid napping if you are struggle to sleep at night. In other words, if you are having difficulty to sleep, all right, or initiating the sleep, or frequently wakes up in the morning, in the middle of sleep, then you will feel tired in the daytime. And typically, a lot of people will do afternoon nap, right? If you come for a therapy with me, I mean, that is one of the sessions that we call the cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, right? We will work on this area. And this is where the napping is not good for people with sleep insomnia. It is good for some people, but not recommended for person with struggling to sleep at night. So there is a certain guided approach with CBT. You can work with the psychiatrist, psychologist, for example, in this area as well. So avoid also caffeines, alcohol, and things like that, which is very important. And eventually, we want to improve the quality of sleep then. Now, keep it cool. Your room temperature should be around 18 degrees Celsius. And as our body need to drop the temperature to sleep. Okay? So sleep is like your life support system. It's not it's not like a luxury, but it should be a natural process that it happen. Okay? Now, what else? As a summary, right? This is something that you should be keeping in mind. Fix a bedtime and awakening time. So if you are, let's say, have to go to work at 7 o'clock, you back count the bedtime, you should be go to bed around 11 or 12. Okay? If you're waking up, you have to wake up at 6 o'clock, then you count yourself. Okay? Have this regular time regardless of weekdays or weekend. if you are having a habit of taking nap, do not exceed 45 minutes in the napping during the daytime. Okay? So avoid excessive alcohol for 4 hours before bedtime, and don't smoke. Avoid also caffeine 6 hours before the bedtime. So something that people might not aware about this caffeine, then it's thought it's only coffee, but some of the tea of course also contain caffeine, right? The sodas like the Coke and Pepsis, for example, also contain caffeine. So chocolates and things like that. For this today's session, I did not talk about how caffeine affects our sleep due to the time of 1 hour, right? Where we will not have time. But if you would like to know more about this area, feel free to approach me as well. So avoid also heavy spicy food, sugary food 4 hours before bed. Light snack before bed is alright, but if it's possible, try to avoid all together. Exercise regularly, but not before the bedtime. All right. Daytime exercise actually has been proven to promote your better sleep at night time. So use a comfortable bedding or materials that you will know yourself better, and of course that a comfortable temperature for your sleep to keep your room also well ventilated. And most important and can be difficult to some people is actually to block out all the distracting noises and eliminate as much light as much as possible, of course. So I just want to explain this a little bit because the light should include the light underneath your door, for example, or your window, for example. All right. As you remember just now, one of the picture I shown you, right? The light, it will actually increase suppress the melatonin hormone to secrete, right? And the moment you look into something bright light, your melatonin will stop producing. And because of that, you can't sleep. And of course, when talking about light, this include your mobile phone, your televisions, your iPad, your computer, laptop, and things like that, right? So this contain the blue light, which actually the enemy for our melatonin, basically. Okay. So next is actually your bed should not use as an office, workplace, or recreation room. So this is actually most of the time when I work with my patients with the CBT approach, right, cognitive behavioral therapy, right, especially for insomnia patient. Typically, we do have very common case where they have their laptop or they set up their study room, yeah, in the bedroom as well. This is bad because why? I did not actually show you today's session, but this is another separate kind of a topics. But if you actually set up an office or study room in your bedroom, one of the problem could establish is actually we call the conditioning, yeah, the classical, our brain's conditioning that your bedroom is a place to work. Your bedroom is a place to study. It's a place to work. And work is something fun? No, it's something can be stressful. So the moment your brain start to condition this environment is a stressful moment, what happened at night when you try to go into your room to sleep, right? Unconsciously, you may not aware, your brain start to associate this room is equal to stress. And therefore, many people couldn't actually initiate the sleep because of the conditions of their mind. All right. So, recommendations for better sleep is, of course, that you should maintain your sleep schedule, optimal sleep environment. Yeah, this is all for you to see. And for those of you actually would like to look into um, actually a different approach, right? I offered also CBT for insomnia. And also imagine that, before we go to sleep, imagine a place for relax. So I always use this, we call the positive imaginary technique. Imagine a place where you would want to go for a holiday. This is my dream place, for example. All right. Imagine the place that you are actually in this area. We use this positive imagery technique to kind of like help us to relax actually. Okay. Now I would like to show you this one. Basically, that take also a relaxation scene in your mind. It can be your vacations, your hobbies, or your imaginary scene. Imagine yourself and tell yourself a story. You are now sleeping with someone that you love besides. Okay? And try to feel it. Activate all your sensory details, like what do you see? Imagine that you're hearing the the oceans, yeah, the wave from the breeze from the oceans, right? The taste, the feel of it. Okay. Another technique that I call that the diaphragmatic breathing technique. Usually I will have to do this in a face-to-face kind of a session. Then it's easier for me to do the demonstration. Otherwise, I hope that you can try to do it by yourself right now. Or maybe later on, yeah. Lay at your back, sleep at your back, a chair, or ideally maybe somewhere that is like comfortable for you, lah, right? Put one hand on your chest, one hand on your around your abdomen area. Okay? And you should feel that as you breathing in, yeah, your stomach going up, going down, your chest going up, going down. All right. When you exhale, this thing will happen, isn't it? Right? So put your hand on the belly and slowly breathe in about 4 seconds. All right. And then you will notice that your belly start to rise up. Hold your breath for 2 seconds. And then 4 seconds, you gently breathe out using your mouth. All right. Repeat this for 10 times. But once you get the feel of how to do this, I want you to do something. Every single time when you breathe in, right? Tell yourself, breathe in. All right? When you want to breathe out, tell yourself, breathe out. So it depends on individual, but normally I would recommend people to also, as a beginner especially, say out loud. All right. Some people might having difficulty to use these to tell us in our mind, because when I say tell my mind breathe in and breathe out, what happened? They start to think about tomorrow breakfast, what to cook, what time they need to wake up. So the mind start to think about something else. If you are having this problem, let's say, yeah, alternatively, what we can do is actually saying out loud. Okay, saying out loud. Breathe in, then you breathe in. Breathe out, then you say out loud through your mouth. Say breathe out, then you breathe out. Repeat this for 10 times. Okay, so this will kind of like stabilize, calm yourself down, your physiology before you go to sleep. And another technique is actually that let me see if I have time. If you don't mind, we stretch a little bit, yeah. We call this progressive muscle relaxation technique, which I also much more easier to show you. but I'm just going to use this pointer to, as I explain. So imagine this pointer here, your right foot, your thigh here, yeah, your buttocks, your stomach, your chest area, your arms and hand and shoulders. Okay. So what is progressive muscle relaxation technique? This technique, right, help our body to get ready to sleep. Okay. What do I do? Okay. First and foremost, what we need to do is actually for each of these location, we will tense our muscle group, all right, about 7 seconds, and then slowly release the tension of the muscle. Okay, I will show you later on. Maybe I will turn on the video very briefly so you can see what I done with my arms, right, very easily. So you will actually clench your left foot and right foot together, hold it, activate it, right, for 7 seconds, and then you release. Now you move to your legs, left and right. So your thigh, you kind of like activate it, tense it, right, relax. And then your buttock or your glutes go to your stomach, and then go into your chest, shoulder, arms, and hand. And hand, basically, you just clench your fist like a punch, trying to punching someone, right? Just have to tense for 7 seconds, and then you slowly release it. Then you move up to your neck, your mouth, which is your lips, your eyes, and your forehead. I have actually a video to show you guys. Probably I'll send to the organizer. You know, you can have a look into that later. All right. So this is actually one of the easy way if you want to try to see if it's helped you to sleep. Okay. And for those of you don't find this helping, right, you could have probably experiencing some other different sleep disorder which we need to have a medical diagnosis in order for us to properly assess the condition. Okay, so I hope that today's sessions help. Let me just go through the chat box again. Yeah. There's someone asking about coffee. I need one black coffee a day, but sometimes it affects my sleep, but not always. I drink coffee before noon usually. So is caffeine cause my insomnia? I would like to know the impact of caffeine. All right, okay. Let me just share with, if you want to know. Sorry, yeah. Miss, do I have time? Can I just still have time to share with them?
Yeah, please. Thanks.
It's okay, yeah? All right. So let me just share something. It's easier for me to just Google these things, you know. Let me just show you so that you have a better idea. All right. There you go. Okay. Now, I hope you can see this screen. Okay, now what happened is that when you drink a coffee, all right, there is something called, remember the word that I used, adenosine, just now. All right. So this adenosine receptor is like a parking lot. It sits in and around our brain area, in which that the moment you wakes up, like in the morning, your body will start to produce adenosine. And it will keep on produce, increase. You see, like this level, right? The adenosine level, it will increase. Sorry, it will increase as you during the daytime. As it increase, it will connect with the receptor in our brain here, and that makes us feeling sleepy. Okay, So this is how the process S and C works lah, like I mentioned just now. But I didn't want to go through the details. Of course, for today's session, it should be quite simple. But what happens when you drink caffeine? Now, caffeine, this molecule, it looks very similar with adenosine. So rather than adenosine taking this part of the parking lot, I use this word parking lot. The moment you drink a lot of coffee, right, it will like snatch away, taking away all the parking lot lah. Just imagine early in the morning you go to your office, right, all the parking lot already taken by someone, yeah, which is caffeine. So when that happens, adenosine cannot go in, right? When they can't go in, that's the reason that you don't feel sleepy, because adenosine makes the role is to make us feel sleepy, right? So when that happens, then you feel awake, and this is how caffeine helps us to stay awake. Okay. Now for your case, right, Mr. I forgot your name, but anyway, if you're drinking coffee in the daytime, then having difficulty in the nighttime is very rare, unless you drink more than typically around 7 to 8 cups coffee. The US FDA recommended, I think we shouldn't have the caffeine more than 7 cups, or the 45 milligrams of the caffeine. More than that, it can also detrimental to our health. So if you are not having more than 7, it shouldn't. But different people might have different tolerance. Myself, for example, I should not go more than 3, right? So if you're just having a cup, it should not happen a problem during the night time. Why is that? Because caffeine, it will leave the body roughly around not more than 6 hours. I think about 5 hours, if I remember that correctly. Okay, so the moment you drink that in the morning or in the afternoon, it will stay, but by 5-6 hours, it will leave already. That's why a lot of people sometimes, right, they one of my patients were asking, Dylan, I don't think caffeine work on me. I can go to Starbucks at night, you know, and I can still sleep, what? So of course you can sleep, because you can see that at night, if you drink coffee at night, right, what happens is that the adenosine already produced and already parked in this receptor already, right? So by the time nighttime, the whole parking lot already full with adenosine. When you drink caffeine, no use one. It doesn't work at all already, right? So it doesn't work the caffeine at nighttime at all. However, it can be problem for you later on to maintain your sleep. What happened? When you sleep, right, your adenosine was supposed to come out because your brain will start to push it out. But what happens if you still have a lot of caffeine in your body? This caffeine will connect, and that's where that you will have headache. You probably wake up in the middle of night and things like that, lah. All right. So try not to drink caffeine, of course, in the middle of at night, because you may not have problem to initiate sleep, but you will have problem to maintain your sleep and maybe wake up early. All right. So I hope that answered the question. Let me just see if I have any questions. Yeah, I think that's all the questions. Okay, I will stop sharing. All right.
Okay,
So,
any questions
thank you.
from the floor? Yeah,
All right.
sorry. Any questions from the floor? I think now it is okay if you just want to unmute and ask question. Yeah. If not, I have one question, Dylan. If we want to go to government hospital, say for example GHKL, which department do we go in to get the sleep? What's that called?
Yes.
The test. Yeah, sleep test. Which department?
Okay. So usually you will have to go to the clinic kesihatan first lah. All right.
Okay.
Go to clinic kesihatan, and they will tell you that actually you tell them what is your concern. So because sleep is really, like I mentioned, so many different sleep disorder. If you are having the issue like the in the middle of night, you're snoring, you're gasping for air, like one of our friends asking, right? Then they will send to an ENT or respiratory physician, yeah? Our ear, nose, throat, ENT physician, surgeon, or the respiratory physician as well. In some of the cases like insomnia, narcolepsy, that is actually fall under the neurology side, where you will have to connect with the neurologist to help with yourself here. But nevertheless, I think the first thing is to look into the family medicine specialist or the clinical kesihatan there, yeah. You have this GP, they will start to ask you few questions. Your sleep disruption is because of what of the typical complaint? Is it breathing or is it more to some other things, So they will give you a few questionnaire also to fill up actually.
Thank you. Another question is actually I was told by someone that people who have got sleep apnea, they are actually at risk of getting dementia. Is there any relationship?
So it may not have direct. It's quite difficult to say that people with dementia is because of sleep apnea, right? But there is also study to look into that the impact of the prevalence, meaning to say if you're having untreated sleep apnea, right, it will increase the risk of having dementia. It doesn't mean that you will get it also. It will increase the risk actually.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions from the floor? We have quite many questions already anyway. I think most of it has been answered.
Answered. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, if there's no more question, thank you very much to Mr. Dylan Tan and for a very informative talk. And I think it will benefit to all of us because I think it is a common problem, especially in this modern world, especially people who have health issues and all that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Most welcome. And if you need further help, feel free to connect to Ms. Wong, and I'm more than happy to answer. Yeah, but I can be very slow sometimes replying, so bear with me.
So okay. I think the physical session is interesting. You have suggested that we can request for a physical session later. Thanks.
Sure. Okay. Bye. Good
Okay.
night.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thank
sleep,
you. Yeah,
everyone.
you too. Thank you. Bye. Oh, forgot to mention. Yeah, actually, Puan Sarah was not well, so she actually went to see doctor and she left her handphone at home, so she was not able to respond when I called her just now. Sorry about the the delays for today. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Candice, how are you? Candice? You're muted, Candice. Okay.
I'm doing good. I'm back to Penang.
Back to Penang already. Didn't have a chance to meet you. And you're here. Yeah.
Yeah, I sleep very well.
Good. Yeah, good to hear that. Yeah. And we had the session the other day, I think was quite good. A lot of like the nurses from other countries come forward to ask what is the peer support session and all that. Okay. Yeah. So you completed your treatment, is it, Candice?
Every 2 weeks I go to KL.
Or still come to KL? Or how many more cycles?
I don't know. It's still
Don't know. Oh, okay.
2 weeks time I'll be there. I'll keep you in touch.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope to see you one of these days.
Yeah, sure.
when I think during the event, actually, Madam Kwa, she was there helping, and Put Hua also was there, and our Ramesh also was there, and Miss Tam also, yeah, quite a few, Miss Tai also, quite many of them come in to support, yeah, which is very good lah.
Good.
Okay, anybody else have anything to share or anything to talk about before we end the session? No, quiet. Okay, so with that, I think we just call it a night lah. Yeah, thank you so much for the support. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good sleep. Thank you. Bye.